friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to learn the front post, back post double crochet. This stitch is a perfect rib stitch to use for the cuffs of sweaters, the collars of sweaters, and tons of other crochet projects. So if you're interested in learning the front post, back post double crochet rib stitch, keep watching. For this project, you're going to need some yarn. I'll be using this pink Bernat Handicrafter cotton. It's somewhere between a number 3 and a number 4 weight. You'll also need a crochet hook. I'll be using a 4mm hook today. You'll also need some scissors to cut your yarn, as well as a yarn needle to weave in your ends. For today's practice sampler, we're going to make a little dishcloth just to practice our front post, back post double crochets. So gather your supplies and let's jump in. For this sampler, we're going to begin with a slip knot. So I'm going to take my yarn in my left hand, both the tail and the working yarn, create a loop, cross the loop over on itself, put my fingers into the loop and grab the working yarn and pull it through the loop to create a slip knot. From here, I'm going to chain 27. 1, 2, 3, 24, 25, 26, and 27. For the front post, back post double crochet stitch, we work in sets of 6. So you need sets of 6 stitches for your chain plus 3. So any denomination of 6 stitches plus 3 at the end of the row. So I'm doing 24 stitches plus an additional 3, 25, 26, 27 for my row. I'm going to start with a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. There's 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 of the loops, and yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops. The 3 chains on the side make up the edge of the work, and then our first double crochet. I apologize for the noise in the background. The birds are feeling frisky today. From here, we're going to do double crochets all the way across the foundation row. So 1 double crochet stitch in each of the chain stitches all the way across. I'm going to zoom through the rest of this foundation row, and I'll see you at the end of the row to show you how we're going to turn our work and how we're going to move into the front post, back post double crochet. Here I am at the end of my foundation row. I'm just going to put my last double crochet into the last chain of the row. This stitch is the 24th stitch because this row ends up having 24 stitches in it. We did 24 chains plus our 3 chains at the end that make up the side of the work. And there we go. Now let's move on to row number 2, where we'll actually be doing the front post, back post double crochet. We'll begin with a chain of 2. Chain 1, chain 2. Then turn the work. Now we're going to skip regular double crochets altogether at this point. We're working immediately into our front post double crochet. So a regular double crochet, we would yarn over and insert the hook into the top of the stitch, like this. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over the hook, and then we're going to insert the hook in these large gaps between the double crochet stitches. This middle section of the double crochet stitch is called the post. So we'll yarn over and bring the hook behind the post on both sides, pulling the post forward to the front. Then yarn over, pull a loop through that space, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops. That's a front post double crochet. We pull the post of our double crochet to the front. Now let's move to a back post double crochet. Again, we start with a yarn over for this. Next though, instead of coming behind the post like this, which is what we did for the front post double crochet, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to come behind the work, up through that first hole, and down through the second hole. From above, you can see what we're doing is going behind the post. We're pulling the post back, a back post double crochet. So yarn over, insert the hook behind the work, up through the work, and then back down through the work in the next space, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 of the loops, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops. And that's a back post double crochet. You can see the front post pulled that whole stitch forward, and the back post pulled the whole stitch back. After that, we're going to do another front post. Yarn over, insert into the hole, down through the work, up through the next hole, pulling the post forward. Then yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, there's a piece of hair in here, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops. And there's our second front post double crochet. Now let's do the back post again. Yarn over, insert the hook behind the work, coming up through the space, down through the next space in order to pull the post back, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops. Now it's easy to see front posts come forward, back posts go backward. Let's do it a little bit quicker. So yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Front post, back post, front post, and back post. And right away you can see how that front post, back post creates this really cute rib stitch. This really does work really well for the brim of hats and for the edges of sweaters. And it's got a little bit more stretch than just a regular double crochet or a half double or a single. Here I am at the end of my first row of front post, back post double crochets. I'm going to put my last back post double crochet in the row, and then my last front post double crochet. By doing stitches in groups of 6 plus 3 at the end of your foundation chain, you'll end up with your edges having a front post on both sides, which will mean you'll have a nice symmetrical piece. You can definitely do any starting chain you want, but if you want it to have a front post as your first and last stitch of the row, do sets of 6 plus 3 on your foundation chain. Okay, we've just done our last front post double crochet now. There is still the chain 3 from when we did our first double crochet. In this space, the space between our last front post double crochet and the chain 3, we're going to do one more double crochet. So I'm going to put a double crochet into that space, not into one of the chains, just into the giant hole here. We'll put one more double crochet to finish the row. And that last double crochet will line up with our chain stitches to create a nice straight edge. If you see on the front of the row, we started with the chain 3, or the chain 2 to bring our row up rather, and then we did our first front post, so the chain 2 is the edge stitch. On the opposite side, the last double crochet is the edge stitch. Now, moving on to row number 3, we'll start with a chain 2. Chain 1, chain 2. And now that chain 2 will make up the edge stitch. So we have the chain 3, a double crochet, a chain 2. Now let's move on to row number 3. We're going to do row number 3 the exact opposite as how we did row number 2. So row number 2, we started with a front post double crochet. But if we start with a front post double crochet here, we'll end up creating a woven stitch. Let me show you a few stitches if we were to start with a front post double crochet. If we do a front post and then a back post and then a front post, we've reduced our rib stitch entirely and it changes it into a woven basket stitch, which is great if that's what you're going for. But in this tutorial, we are aiming for a ribbed stitch. See what I mean? By pulling the back post forward, we're reversing the work we just did to create these columns. So for row number 3, we're gonna start basically backwards. We're going to start with a back post double crochet. So we'll do a yarn over, insert the hook behind the work, pick up that post and pull it back, yarn over again, pull up a loop, yarn over again, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again, pull through the remaining 2 loops. Now we're continuing that column. So the last stitch may have been a front post, but when we flip it over, that front post becomes a back post. Now, the second last stitch was a back post, but flipping it over, now it appears like a front post. So we're gonna treat it like a front post. We're going to do yarn over, insert the hook under the post, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops. Just like that. And by doing this, we kind of continue the columns that we created with that first row of front post, back post, and allow that rib stitch to really start to come and become more visible. I'm gonna zoom through the rest of row number 3, and I'll meet you at the end of the row to show you how we're gonna finish the row off and how we'll move into row number 4 and the rest of the project. I've just made it to the end of row number 3, and now these rib stitches are showing so well. You can see if we turn the work sideways, we've got the posts coming out on either end in this sort of zigzag pattern, and you could see the stretch that you get from having it this way. And you can sort of pull the stitches to their best length by pulling them out this way, but also it's so squishy. It's such a good juicy stitch. Okay, I'm at the end of the row now. I'm gonna put my last back post double crochet into the row, and then we're going to finish again with a regular double crochet. So this is the start of the row here. This was a chain of 2. We're going to end the row by putting a double crochet into the space left between the chain 2 and the first posted double crochet. So we'll insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to finish the row. And then to start row number 4, we'll start with a chain 2 and turn. Now for row number 4, we're gonna be doing exactly what we did for row number 2. We're gonna start with a front post double crochet. So for even rows, we do front post double crochet, back post double crochet, front post double crochet, back post double crochet, and repeat across with a regular double crochet in the last stitch. For odd number rows, we do back post double crochet, front post double crochet, back post double crochet, front post double crochet, and repeat across with a regular double crochet in the last stitch. It's exactly the same repeat back and forth as long as you want it to go. When I'm doing a cuff on a sweater, for example, I usually go for 5 or 6 rows. But if you're doing some kind of cowl or a dishcloth, you go as many rows as you want to make it as tall and as wide as you want it to be. Just remember the rule, sets of 6 plus 3 on your foundation chain, and you will always end up with a beautiful symmetrical ribbed stitch project. From here all the way up until row number 12, I'm going to be doing the exact same repeat of rows number 2 and 3 for my project. You go as long as you need to practice this stitch, but if you're making a little dish scrubby like I am, go for 12 rows or until your dishcloth is as long as it is wide. We want to make a square. That's what we're aiming for. So continue until you have a square of fabric, and I will meet you back here to show you what we're going to do to finish the project off and to create a nice little edge so that it looks like an actual little dish scrubby. Here I am coming up to the end of my last row on my little scrubby square. I'm gonna put my last couple of front post, back post double crochets in. Here's my last back post and then my last front post. And then because we're at the end of a row, we're going to put 1 additional double crochet in the space between the final front post and the chain 2 from the last row. So I'll put my last double crochet in, and that is it for our front post, back post double crochet portion of this little sampler. Now let's add a border to make this look a little bit more complete. We'll do a double crochet border for this one. So let's chain 2, chain 1, and chain 2 and turn the work. Now I'm going to work in the spaces between the stitches, so these large spaces down here, and I'm going to put 1 double crochet in each of those stitches. So no front post or back post for this portion, just regular double crochets, and we're putting them in the space between the posts. See? And I'm going to do that all the way across this row until I reach the corner. And then I'll show you what we're going to do at the corner in order to make it around the entire square. Now I've made it to the corner. I'm putting my last double crochet in before I hit my corner stitch, which is actually the space where the chain 2 was. In that space, in that corner stitch, I'm going to put 3 double crochets. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. Putting 3 double crochets in that stitch sort of flares it out, allowing us to turn the corner so that we can work down the rows. At this point, we're going to be putting 1 double crochet in each space at the top of the stitch and 1 double crochet in each big space along the post of the stitch. So we're going to be doing 2 double crochets per row. So I'm going to put my first double crochet right there and the second one right there. And then next, we'll put our third one right here. And our fourth one right there. And we'll just repeat that all the way down the row, all the way down the rows rather, because we're working down the side of the work now rather than across the rows. Just make sure you're putting 2 stitches per row all the way down so that you have this correct number of stitches, allowing the border to not pucker or be too tight. We want it to be a nice width, the same as the actual project. As you'll remember, we've got a row that is 24 stitches long, but we have only 12 rows. So by putting 2 stitches in each row, we end up with 24 stitches on both sides for the border, along the row and along the side of the work. It'll just keep everything nice and even. I've made it back down the work to the corner stitch. In the corner stitch, again, I'm going to put 3 double crochets in order to help turn that corner. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. And for this next row, I'm going to be putting 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way across until I reach the next corner. All right, I've made it to my last corner here. And in this corner, I'll put 3 double crochet stitches. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. And from here, I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other side, 2 double crochets per row all the way down these rows until I get back to where I started this round. All right, I've made it to the corner stitch now. You can see in this corner stitch, this is where we put our chain 2 and our first double crochet. So I'm gonna put 1 more double crochet in. I did my last stitch of the row and I'll put 1 more in. And then I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 2. And that completes the square. From here, I will trim my yarn, pull it through, and we'll weave in that end. Ta-da! Just like that, we have our little dishcloth scrubby with our front post, back post double crochets. Again, from the top, you can see that texture is on both sides from that front post, back post. It's a beautiful rib stitch. It works really well for the cuffs of sleeves and anything else that you're looking for a rib stitch in crochet. This is my favorite rib stitch personally. I like this one even better than the front loop only or back loop only single crochet. Isn't that so pretty? Anywho, I hope you give this one a shot and you practice this front post, back post double crochet. If you're new to crochet, this is a great one to have in your repertoire. Also, thank you so much to anyone who is supporting the channel right now. Here is the list of all the channel supporters. If you would like to join and become a member and support the channel, check out the links in the description box down below, along with some other helpful tutorials. You'll find all the ways that you can show your support. And if you enjoyed this video, or if it helped you figure out the front post, back post double crochet and get it perfect, don't forget to click that thumbs up button. It really helps the channel and I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye!